You know, folks, I remember a time when we knew exactly who our allies were, and we had the utmost respect for them. And we understood that building coalitions with those allies were important. And we understood that having respect for them and working alongside of them on the world stage was very important. We understood that the dealings we had with them should be kept respectful, and we should always do those with our best interest and their best interest at heart. I remember a time when we were that way. I also remember a time when we knew exactly who our enemies was, and we kept them at bay. We were very cautious when it came to our enemies, and we sure as hell didn't look over and praise them, especially countries that had dictators. We never looked over and praised them and said, maybe we should be running our country the way that dictator is his. And I remember a time when if you'd have made a comment like that, it would have been the end of your political career. I've talked many times here on the channel about how my family has always followed politics. We've always talked it. I don't ever remember not talking politics. I would hear people growing up say, I don't talk politics or don't ever bring up politics or religion. And I was like, my family completely missed that memo because I literally remember watching the Bush and Dukakis debates back when I was a kid and my parents sitting there watching it as though it was the Steelers versus the Cowboys. It's always been an event in our house. And I remember a time where George H.W. Bush just sat and looked at his watch during the debate with Clinton, and they said, well, he lacks the temperament to be president any longer. This is a guy who had already been president for 4 years. He had been vice president for 8 years before that. This is a guy who had had a lifetime of experience in government. And in all fairness, at that particular point in American history, he was more experienced than Bill Clinton at that time. But just that one little simple move made people say he lacks the temperament to be president any longer. Now, if him or Clinton had have came out and said, yeah, that dictator over there, I admire him. Yeah, I think maybe we need to run our country the way that he does, or maybe we need to terminate the Constitution when we see fit. That would have been the end of either one of them, and people on both sides of the aisle, Republican and Democrat, would have agreed, yes, we got to get rid of that guy. But now we live in a completely different world. We live in a world where Donald Trump was elected once, was a terrible president the first go around, he got voted out, and then spent the last 4 years going out there and whining and complaining about everything that happened to him, and saying that everything that was happening to him was a weaponization of government, and everything that was happening to him was Biden coming after him, and everything was fake news. And we watched him become a convicted felon. We watched him found liable for sexual abuse. We watched him defame the victim. We watched him try to overturn an election. We watched him incite a riot on our nation's capital. And he comes through all of that, gets reelected, and gets put on the cover of Time magazine. And now feels more empowered than he's ever felt in his life because he feels like, oh, it's a big comeback story. I survived these attempts on my life. I survived all these things. I'm a warrior, and I'm going back in now with full immunity for official acts, whatever the hell that means. So that's what we've got to look forward to when he takes office on January 20th. And this is a guy that completely missed the memo of what I said at the start of the video, where we know who our allies are and we respect them, and we know who our enemies are and we keep them at bay. Trump is doing the exact opposite. He is sucking up to the dictators and praising our enemies, and he's throwing and hurling insults at our allies. And this should not be political. This should not be Democrat versus Republican. This should be all of us saying, you don't do that. But now he's out here throwing insults at Canada, our ally. He's threatening them with tariffs. What did they ever do to us? Why would you break that trust and respect that we had with them? He goes out here and he calls Justin Trudeau the governor of the 51st state of Canada. And we all know we truly know, if you're honest for a minute, we know why he's trolling Justin Trudeau. He's doing so because of the way that Melania and Ivanka looks at him. That's why he's trolling him. But he's trolling the entire country of Canada by calling them a state. Canadians view this as an insult, and rightfully so. I would too if Justin Trudeau was saying, hey, America's the next province of Canada. I'd be going, what? What are you saying about us? He's doing this He's trolling Justin Trudeau. He's trolling the people of Canada. And there are people out there who are sitting back enjoying this. But I want everyone to know, and this is not me, trying to be an apologist or anything like that. This is me trying to be a sincere American and say to our allies in Canada, this man does not represent all of us. I didn't vote for it. I know a whole lot of people that also didn't vote for it, didn't agree with it, never wanted to see it again. We wanted to see him held accountable. We wanted to see the mistakes that he's made stop his entire career. And I want to go on record right now and say that this entire country owes George H.W. Bush an apology for ending his career because he glanced down at his watch. And as bad as I hate to say it, for all the ones that got upset at Richard Nixon for sweating, now Nixon looks sane next to this guy. It's crazy to me that we've came to this point in American history where they're going to look back on it when we're all gone. At least they will still have videos, I hope they're still around, that they can roll back and say, well, there was some people out there who weren't going for this. Because I have read and studied so much about 1930s Germany, and I used to always wonder, was there people saying anything? Well, the people back then didn't have a cell phone in their pocket. They didn't have a MacBook they could get on and make videos and put them out there to the world. We do, and that's why I feel it's important to use our voices for as long as we have platforms and as long as we can. It's important to continue to call these things out. It's important to continue to remind people of what we once stood for and what we should stand for, and let people know that we are not in alignment and we're not in agreement with Trump, and we're not going to bow the knee. We're not going to kiss the ring because it's wrong, and we recognize it for being wrong. I can't sit here and laugh at that shit. I can't sit here and find it funny. And as a matter of fact, I've not really been able to watch very many comedians. I've saw a couple of comedians doing skits about this. I'm just not in the mood to laugh right now, folks. I'm really not. I love SNL. I've seen a few clips. Some of it was funny, but I even have a hard time watching that because we shouldn't be here. This isn't who we are. It's not what we're about. We don't sit and throw insults like that at our allies, and we don't sit and throw praise at dictators and our enemies. That's not the America that I was brought up in, and that's not the America that I'm going to bring my kids up in. I'm going to make sure that my kids know what we once were, what we once stood for. They can all grow up in this mad world, and they'll find their way, hopefully. They'll figure it out, but it won't be because they didn't have a dad that told them otherwise. I'm not going to sit here in this little corner of the world and let my kids think that all these ministers around here and all these hillbillies are telling them the truth when they tell them that Donald Trump is like the Apostle Paul or King David. I'll be damned if I ever let my kids be told that I ain't coming right behind them with the evidence in my hand to say, no, he ain't a damn thing like the Apostle Paul or King David or anyone else. He is his own thing. And it's one of the most disgusting things that was ever shown on this country. And the people that got behind him and pushed him in did so because they were gullible, and they voted off their emotions based over facts. They didn't care. They want to talk about they're the fuck your feelings crowd, folks. They're the party of feelings. That's all they're about. It's just their emotions and their feelings. But those emotions and feelings got them over the finish line. And now we're going to be here trying to deal with it all. And we're going to be sitting here every day reminding you, this is why we were saying this leading up to this point. You didn't understand how it all worked, and now we're trying to help dig you out of this hole. And the sad part is, we're going to be fighting for them harder than Trump ever did, and they'll probably never see it, and they'll probably never thank us. And when the dust settles from all this, and we're old men sitting back looking around going, damn, what the hell just happened? We're not going to get the pat on the back. No one's ever going to come to you and pat you on the back and say, way to go, Brando. Way to go, Midas Touch. Way to go, Luke Beasley. Way to go, David Packman. Way to go, Adam Mockler and Texas Powell and Coach D. Thanks for telling us. Guys, if you're watching this video, you're never going to get that. No one's going to say, way to go, Ben, Brett, Jordy, thank you guys so much. They'll find a way to somehow still blame it on us, even though we sat here the entire time trying to tell them that a train was headed straight for them. And they just stood there in the middle of the tracks with their boombox listening to their bullshit and got clobbered. I wished I had a more uplifting message today, but I just remember a time when America stood for something different. And it's a shame to sit back and watch people be okay with it circling the drain because they wanted to watch the WWE. Listen, guys, if all you want to do is watch that kind of storylines, the WWE's good at it, okay? Just go watch it. Right now, they got a really good storyline with a guy named Solo Sikoa. He's claiming he's the real tribal chief, and he's doing a really good job at it. He's really doing well. He's one of my favorites to watch, but I don't want that running my fucking country. Oh, God. It's it's a challenge every day to just not fall right back into old habits. It truly is. And I may or may not have had one too many Irish car bombs when I went to California, and I may have partake in a few things that definitely calmed my nerves. But we're going to have to get through the next 4 years and see if we even have a country when it's all over. But I truly appreciate each and every one of you for coming along on this crazy, wild ride with me. And I appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. We're going to do it. We're just inches away from hitting 500,000 subscribers. And when we do, I just want you to know I'm thankful. I never thought that this is what I would be doing with my life. If you'd asked me 10, 15 years ago, I said I'll be somewhere in a smoky bar, playing my music, getting drunk, having a good time. But that's not where I'm at now. And to tell you the truth, I never want to go back to that. I want to stand here and continue to fight like hell on the right side of history. And let these videos serve as evidence to my kids and grandkids coming down the line that your grandpa did not fall for the bullshit that was Donald Trump. He may have peed on everybody's leg in my part of the world, but he never made me think it was raining.